All right, welcome everybody. This is the Sustainability Advisory Commission meeting for the city of Urbana. We'll go ahead and have staff, Scott, please call the roll.
James Corbin. You're on mute.
Present.
Tomas Delgado.
Here.
Madeline Garbaz.
Here.
Stacy Gloss.
Here.
Jessica Limcool.
Here.
Andrew Stump.
Here.
Morgan White.
Here.
Grace Wilkin.
Here. Excellent, thank you. We do have a quorum. We'll proceed with our agenda. I needed to check the email tonight. I'm not sure. Did everybody receive the minutes from the April meeting as part of the packet?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the April meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Morgan. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, James. Any changes or corrections to the minutes as written?
I have to say, I'm trusting that the titles go and spelling of all of our guests are correct. So I presume they are. That's normally we like to make sure those are right. It's like, I don't know how to check that.
Yeah, I think it would be great if there was like some highlights of some of the discussion or like takeaways or something. It seems like there's not really content in there, but you know, it points to it. And if people want to know, they can go and watch the recording. So but I think it would be cool if people didn't want to go through and watch the whole thing, if there could be like some facts, but I think it's fine as is. And if people want to know more, they can watch the whole thing.
Okay, thank you. So just pending a review of just the names and the spelling of names and organizations of people who presented and joined us at the last meeting, we will go ahead and have a vote on approving the minutes. Scott, can you call roll, please?
James Corbin.
Yes. Here.
Tomas Delgado.
Yes.
Madeline Garbaz.
Yes.
Stacy Gloss.
Yes.
Jessica Limcool.
Yes.
Andrew Stump.
Yeah.
Morgan White.
Yes.
Grace Wilkin.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We'll go ahead and post those finalized minutes to the meeting packet for this meeting. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda this evening?
Yes, I would like to add a 3-minute item for an update on food waste composting.
Great, thanks. Could we just put that under unfinished business section? It's a topic that we've talked about here before and we can add that in.
Yes.
Excellent.
I suggest we add it before the discussion of the JEDI topics.
Thank you, Morgan. We can go ahead and do that. I agree with that as well. Okay, moving into public input. I believe that there is a attendee at the meeting tonight that does have their hand raised. If you could limit your participation to maybe 4 minutes or less, I would like to recognize Sarah Nixon, who may go ahead.
Hello. Sorry, I'm just looking for my notes. Hi. So this is Sarah Nixon, and I am here tonight because I wanted to share a proposal or an idea that could really significantly reduce landfill. And it actually ties in with something that Commission member Grace Wilkins just mentioned. She spoke about or alluded to food waste composting, I think. So this would be about food waste management, where I'm sure you've all heard of this, a diversion program for what I would call green food, so produce from supermarkets being redirected away from the landfill and instead serving as animal feed for, I would propose for Champaign County area homesteads, farmsteads and farms, small farms. The two species in question that do wonderfully well with such programs are hogs, pigs, and goats, because they will both eat absolutely anything and they thrive on grain produce food scraps. So the other day I was actually speaking with an employee at a local Schnucks supermarket who also happens to be a rural farmsteader. And according to that employee, the quantity and quality of produce waste at a certain supermarket chain that has an outlet in Urbana is just astounding what goes to the landfill. Now, from my own research, I know that Common Ground Food Co-op does have a program where they recycle and then compost their food waste. However, our larger grocery store chains do not. And I did have a chance to review your reports that are part of the packet tonight. And I noticed that there is a large amount of municipal trash, and actually generally much of the weight in city trash is food. And this idea would also tie in with something that I've heard Mr. James Corbin repeatedly emphasize of late, which is a concern for youth at risk, or to borrow Lamont Pepper's term, youth of promise in our community. And I don't know, my vision would be, could we get some city budget and create a job or a couple of part-time jobs for coordinators, and maybe Mr. Corbin could point us or help out with locating a pool of potential candidates for that coordinator job. So I don't know how much time I have left, but I just want to wrap up by saying a few months ago, I had the opportunity to manage a goat farm, an urban goat farm in Chicago. And at that goat farm, one of my responsibilities was to work directly with the Whole Foods supermarket in Oak Park, which has a program. It's a food waste reduction program, a strategy to prevent and divert food from entering the landfill. And so I just want to say they are a model for how to manage or design, implement, and manage this kind of program very effectively. I think Urbana and Champaign County would be an ideal, zone in which to try this out, because we have so many passionate backyard farmers, if you will, and local farmers. I have more I could share, but I'm probably out of time. One thing I would really appreciate is if the members of the commission are allowed to respond to my proposal, my informal proposal or ideas, I would appreciate it. If anyone has any suggestions as to how we could develop this, or how to take it to the next step, that would be amazing. So I'll wrap up here. Again, my name is Sarah Nixon. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. I do want to just allow for maybe a couple of minutes in case anybody has any clarifying questions from Sarah. I think this is thank you for your public comments and for the ideas. I am kind of noodling on it as we go, so I don't have anything right now, but but I think that that was an interesting idea that was brought forward, and kind of really thinking very quickly, like who might need to be in the room to kind of have that conversation.
Thank you.
Grace.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Great idea, Sarah. And I think that there's a lot of room to, fit that in with things for sure. Question is, do you, Sarah, are you under the impression that the farmers would be willing to pick up the food waste themselves?
That's a great question, Grace. In Chicago, that's certainly how it's done. I believe, yes, it is a matter of coordinating and accommodating the store and store employees, and farmers are very busy people, but I believe it is very workable. And another model or another idea is if there were a grant and we had youth, community youth excited or engaged about, entrepreneurship, perhaps a van could be part of the project, and maybe, that would be an alternate model where the food waste perhaps could be dropped off at various farms that could sign up to be part of the program. And another exciting thing that could be done would be data collection, so that we can measure the extent, how much landfill waste is minimized, and just collect data on how to make the program more streamlined and smooth for supermarket staff and the farm recipients alike. But my understanding is an enormous amount of really great, perfectly good, perishable, produce is just off limits at our supermarkets. Even employees are not able to access it. So I think this would be a wonderful thing to look into and propose in the context of the values and mission of this commission and Urbana generally with the comprehensive plan.
Morgan, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, one of the things is I think this is a good idea too, but not and. I'm trying to say and, not and. There's some existing programs about the food that is near end of shelf life that is donated to local food, like I'm thinking about some of the places for sharing food with the folks who need food. And so I'd be curious how those can interact, because we've talked about how do we collect the food that other humans might want. It'd be nice to have that program that's already existing about that in that way, which I don't know a whole lot about. No, it's there.
Yeah, that's actually a fantastic idea. When I managed the urban goat farm in Chicago, we actually incorporated a food pantry along with the diversion of the green waste to the goats on the farm. So we had a community food pantry in the Austin neighborhood, and it took place twice a week, and it was very successful.
You might want to look into what the food pantry donation system is now and see if there's a way to expand on it to incorporate the sharing with local farmers for the animals.
I'm thinking this would be as a standalone venture. We could coordinate with them, but it would be really great to create some opportunities for Urbana's young people, of working age, first job sort of demographic, and get them excited as a entrepreneurial kind of venture. That's my vision anyway.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments. I think that we do. Oh, I just want to note that I did see James's hand up as well as Tomas's. Please keep an eye on time. We do have a bit of an agenda tonight. James, go ahead. You're on mute.
Real quick, sorry about that. Sarah, was there other entrepreneurs working in tandem with you at the time? And how did that go? That's a real quick question I get, but I'd like to know more about this. I'm definitely interested.
Wonderful. Yes, actually, It was not run as an entrepreneurial venture. It was very much, as Stacy Gloss asked, it was the farmers that go directly to the grocery stores and pick up, like coordinate with the store what time of day they're going to go, and go to the back where the loading dock is and collect the day's produce that's ready to go out. And then the urban farm itself was the point, the pickup point for the urban food pantry. So it was not an extensive operation involving multiple volunteers or even employees, but I think we could envision something here that could engage youth. That's my thought anyway.
Tomas?
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for your comment. I was had a question about when you were doing this in Chicago, and you said you had been corresponding with a Whole Foods there for a similar sort of food diversion system. Was that was that like a informal policy that particular store had, or is this something that maybe Whole Foods, like as an entire enterprise, do they do this similarly around the country? I'm wondering if I mean, you're saying that like Schnucks is not allowing even their employees to take home food. Will we then have to sort of address the policy in which they're preventing their own employees of taking home food scraps prior to allowing food scraps to be given out to the public for animals? And I'm just wondering the complications of that, but it's certainly sort of something that's kind of piqued my interest, and I'm wanting to understand further.
So our partner in Chicago was Whole Foods. So Whole Foods was not an organization that we were communicating with. They were actually our partner, or they are our partner, as well as other local grocery stores, organic grocery stores, and a pie making restaurant of all places, and they donate all of their apple peels for the goats. So Whole Foods was our primary, or is our primary partner, and they have a nationwide program called, let's see, do they have a name for it? It mirrors the EPA's food recovery hierarchy. I have some notes here. And the Whole Foods Market team members are trained on food waste efficiency, from smart ordering to food donations. So they cover the whole range of working with local partnerships. I remember the managers in Chicago spoke to me about smart ordering and other aspects of this. So Whole Foods would be a great model if, say, Schnucks wanted to get on board with this. They definitely have a component where store employees can access, perishable or non-perishable foods. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about waste diversion to farmers really is the green stuff, what I call the green stuff. So the produce that is going to very quickly perish, even stuff that store employees would not want to bring home. You're not going to bring home very wilted lettuce, but the farm animals will just relish that food that humans will not want to, touch at that point when it's sort of 3 days old, or past its sell-by date. So that works wonderfully in animal feed programs. I think there are very few drawbacks or complications to implementing this kind of program. I know it works beautifully for Whole Foods. It works beautifully in Chicago when I was managing that farm. And I feel pretty confident that Schnucks would be interested in having a conversation about seeing what they can do to participate in a food waste diversion and recycling program.
Yeah, me too. And just in the interest of time, maybe we can engage outside of the meeting to talk further about this. But I am interested in maybe looking into what capacity Schnucks here locally would have for that, or at least what barriers they would have to implement such a thing. So, thank you.
Wonderful.
All right, great. Thank you, Sarah. Awesome. The next item on our agenda this evening is a presentation from Gabe Lewis, who is going to be talking with us about the Champaign-Urbana Bike Month. Gabe, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. And if you have a presentation that you want to share, I think that you're able to do a screen share from your seat.
Great, thank you, Stacy. I don't have a dedicated presentation, but I am going to share the website, and I might show a couple. We have a calendar, so I can direct to that. Well, first of all, I'm Gabe Lewis. I am a planner at the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission and one of the organizers of Champaign-Urbana Bike Month, which we've been cultivating to be more of a Champaign County Bike Month. I work with several agencies, including the City of Urbana, Champaign County Bikes, and the Champaign-Urbana Safe Routes to School project are also major partners. And then the University of Illinois, as well as along with our other municipalities and MTD, so Champaign, Savoy, Mahomet, St. Joseph, Rantoul. Hopefully what you can see is the Bike Month website, and it's actually just cubikemonth.org. It will redirect to the longer URL. I want that to be an easy thing to remember. There is a calendar tab, and when you click there, you can see not only a Google Calendar that we have linked, but also a static calendar. And then if you click this download Bike Month calendar, it will take you to a PDF version, and all of these links are clickable. So events that we have happening throughout the month, if you click those links, you can get to Facebook page or the registration page for whatever is going on to get some more information. As you may not be surprised, last year we did not get to hold any events in May of 2020. I think I just accidentally closed my tab. Let me go back to that. Okay. So we gear up for this every winter. We have a planning team that meets to hold events in May. May is National Bike Month. However, with the pandemic that began in March, we had to pivot, and we really didn't have any events in May. We worked with the university. We were part of like the night that happened in the fall. So coming into this spring, when we convened again, the group wanted to keep meeting and figure out what we could do, but ultimately decided that May would be a little too early to plan, and we'd focus more efforts on for September when students are back at the U of I. However, there are events that are happening, and we encourage everyone to get their bike out this month and ride individually or with your family or your household, or even a small group if you feel comfortable. Perhaps everyone is vaccinated. I know we have some new guidance from the CDC about mask wearing outdoors. It's been a little bit lifted. Hopefully, people are being safe. So we do have on the Bike Month static calendar some information, just those tips to please be safe while biking. But we definitely think folks should get out with the weather warming up. It's good for your physical and mental health. Our next, I'll keep it here so you have this image. Our next big event is actually tomorrow morning, which is CU Bike to School Day. And that has, it's going to look different this year, obviously, with a lot of students doing virtual learning or hybrid learning. The way this happens nationally on the first Wednesday of May. So we'll be celebrating with other folks. Urbana schools will be remote tomorrow. However, we will have a station at the Urbana Middle School, Urbana High School campus from 8 to 10 a.m. And the mayor is going to come, from what I understand, from 8 to 8:30 and read a proclamation that it is National Bike to School Day and CU Bike to School Day. And anyone who wants to come, I have a bag here. So those folks who pre-registered will get a drawstring bag fuel efficient human. And there's a couple goodies in here. We got a bike coloring book and a reflector, got a sticker. So we like to do these things, especially giveaways with adults and kids, but you can tell that some of these are a little more geared to the kids. And then we had something that did happen last year. You won't be able to see everything. We have some superhero cycle t-shirts. We have them left for kids. We don't have any adult sizes left, but this was something that the CU Safe Routes to School project did in response to the pandemic, where we weren't able to have our big events, but we were able to give these out and have some activities online for students to do bike and pedestrian education for parents that were doing homeschooling and what have you. So again, we'll be at UMS UHS tomorrow morning, 8 to 10. We'll also be at a couple schools in Champaign. So we invite anyone who feels comfortable to stop by that station between 8 and 10. And then there are 2 bike rides happening this month. One is Sunday, which is Mother's Day. And we'll be doing a Mother's Day ride at 2:30, starting at the Anita Purves Nature Center. And that will be in North Urbana. So something that I've worked on with the city, I've worked on the bike plan and pedestrian plan and the trails plan for the park district. We're proposing a loop trail around the community. And this ride and the second ride will take parts of that trail we've developed, that route, and ride some of it. So some of it is existing. There's existing trails and streets, and some of them have some pieces have bike lanes, and others are just unmarked streets. But it is a family-friendly ride, no cost. There are 2 Facebook events for the rides. So if you go to the website, you can find information there. And so I mentioned this Sunday, Mother's Day, is the North Urbana Green Loop. That's 2:30 at the Nature Center. And Saturday, May 22nd is the South Urbana Green Loop ride, which will start and end at Meadowbrook Park. And on both rides, at least the North Urbana ride, I know we'll stop for some custard at Culver's. So I believe the Southern ride will also try to have some kind of treat. So hopefully we'll have good weather and see folks there again if they feel comfortable. And I guess 2 other events I'll mention. The Kickapoo Rail Trail had a spring cleanup planned in April that got rained out. So it'll be Saturday, May 15th. And that'll be on the trail from 10 to 12 in Urbana and St. Joe. And in St. Joe, they're also having a dad's ride for kids. And there's actually, I believe, if people sign up before and they don't have a bike, that group might be able to help people get a bike for that day. Then Wednesday, May 19th is the Ride of Silence, which honors bicyclists who were killed in a with a car fatality. So it's a silent ride, but it starts and ends at the I Hotel at 7 o'clock. I'll just end with mentioning again, we do plan to have some sort of bike to work, but it may be a bike from work day event in September. And we're planning to coordinate that with Light the Night, since that's an evening event. So we encourage everyone to stay tuned to this website, cubikemonth.org. And we also have a Facebook page, CU Bike Month, where we'll post updates as well. But yeah, I think that's what I have for today. There are other national, like I said, it's National Bike Month. So there's a National Bike Challenge that kicks off today or this month and goes pretty much through the summer. You can log miles, and the League of American Bicyclists promotes like #BikeJoy, #Bike There. So we encourage people, to consider and hopefully use the bicycle as a mode of transportation wherever they're going, whether it's for recreation or to the store or somewhere else. So happy to take any questions.
Awesome, thank you. I see some commissioners are already putting their hands up. So Tomas?
Hi, Gabe. Thanks for the presentation and reminder that it's National Bike to Work Month. I was really sad that last year's events couldn't happen, but for good reason. I had one sort of question and maybe programming recommendation for next year, possibly. And maybe this is also a question for Morgan and Scott too. But I think this is irregular, but the Urbana Police Department occasionally has a good deal of bikes that they sometimes get around to giving out to the community for free. And I think the last one that I was aware of was in 2019. And then prior to that, I don't know how regular it was, but I know there was at least one other time since I've been in this community that was available to the public. And it's always, that's a great resource for folks to get free bikes, particularly children to get a bike. And I'm wondering if perhaps there could be some sort of sharing of that resource, or even a transferring of that giveaway event to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission, or a group of folks during the next year's bike month, just to get folks on the road, and then build it into other programming that's bicycle related in the community. And then also in a season that is more appropriate for bikes, because I think the last bike giveaway was in February. So, and then also an opportunity for, skilled folks, skilled mechanics to work on some of those bikes, because to my knowledge, the bikes were being given away as is. So that's, kind of a diversity of quality and diversity of, if whether or not it's operating or not. So it kind of gives an opportunity for mechanics to tune them up and get them ready for, public who's available for it. Also, gives an opportunity for, appropriate sizing of bikes, so we don't have like a 5-foot kid walking away with a 56 centimeter frame or something like that. So yeah, just a recommendation maybe for next year, and something maybe worth exploring.
Sorry, I could just share with the campus. We used to have that. We would collect the bikes and then auction them off. And it became really apparent that the majority of the bikes that we were selling low cost were in poor condition and were kind of safety hazards. So we had real concerns about that. And we made a decision to partner with or collaborate with the Bike Project of Urbana-Champaign. And so all of the bikes that are collected on campus are donated to the Bike Project. And I did want to put in a plug to make sure everyone's aware that the Campus Bike Center, which is a collaboration between the university and the Bike Project, that it's moved. It's now on Gregory in Champaign between Oak and First, as opposed to on Pennsylvania where it used to be. Okay. I don't know about the Urbana giveaway though. I'm not up to date on that.
I will definitely defer to the city if they have any information on that, but I wanted to give a plug for the Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club, because in the summer, usually in July, some of our folks have been working with them to do an Earn a Bike program. And so any interested kids are able to do it, work together. It's a 4-day program where they build a bike, and then they have the opportunity to go on at least one ride. I think they try to do 2, like an in town and then maybe out on the Kickapoo Rail Trail, kind of depending on weather. But that is an opportunity that I want to make you guys aware of. I know the bike giveaway too. I think it's great. I think all your comments, I agree with them. I assume things haven't been happening because of COVID, but it would be really good, or be interesting to see how that will evolve, and maybe we can improve that. I love the idea of advertising that, especially in the spring.
Absolutely.
Tomas, I'll have to look into what our status is in terms of our impounded bikes. I know that these are stolen property, lost property, abandoned property, and we have to hold them for a time period to give folks a chance to claim them. But I'll ask around about what our status is there.
Thank you.
Speaking of stolen bikes, a lot of the bikes that are stolen in town are stolen because they're not locked. I mean, not locked at all. So please lock your bicycles, community members and visitors, and you can register them as well, which we have a national registration program now that you can do, so that if it gets stolen and taken to a different town, it can still find its way back to you if it's recovered by the police or
Yeah.
others.
Underscoring that, I actually retrieved a bike in Chicago that was stolen and used the stolen bike registry and retrieved it 2 years later, which was kind of funny. But yeah, it works.
Oh.
It does work.
Amazing.
I have a question that I guess is sort of along the lines of some of the with the bike giveaways. Similarly, do we have any programs for giving away helmets as well?
That is a good question. We have had that initiative. I'm going to again blame COVID on why I don't know what the status is, but the CU Safe Routes to School project that I volunteer with, and it's MTD and a lot of folks. We do at least one bike rodeo a year. We would typically be at the market at the square, usually in May. And at that event, we would have helmet sales for a discounted price, working with Bell Helmet in Rantoul. But I don't have all my information, but I know we have done some work with the schools where we've had some helmet giveaways too. I can't speak to how much, but that is a good question and a good point. I'm gonna look more into that.
Great, thank you. Second, not necessarily only related to Bike Month, you may be aware of the Imagine Urbana campaign that is happening online. And I was visiting that website today and participating as well. And I did notice on the map, so this is more related to transportation and transportation planning, that there's an Urbana Places map where people from the community are encouraged to put down pins on their favorite places where there could be opportunities for additional things in Urbana or some safety considerations. I just would really urge you, transportation planners, others at the RPC, to also be kind of taking a look at that map, because I did see some pins that are focused on intersection safety, areas that could use crosswalks, things like that, and additional cycling infrastructure like bike paths and things like that. So that might be a really nice way to kind of piggyback off of your Imagine Urbana campaign to find out some information from local residents about areas that are of concern and interest in expanding infrastructure for pedestrians and bicycles.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm aware of Imagine Urbana, but yeah, I'm encouraged to know that. I mean, I'm not happy to know people are having problems, but I'm glad people are giving comments about that, bicycling best and walking. So I'll have to look at that.
Any other questions? All right, one last comment from me. I think that the t-shirts are sort of like a cult thing that go with Bike Month. I really miss getting an annual Bike Month t-shirt. Haven't had one in a while. So I really look forward to that again in the future and participating in Bike to Work Day.
Me too. I hope it's very soon when we'll have more t-shirts to offer. It's fun.
All right, thanks, Gabe.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda this evening is our staff report from Scott Tess.
Good evening. As Stacy mentioned earlier, we are still doing public engagement around the city comprehensive plan development. There are some scheduled events listed in the SAC packet staff report. And as Stacy mentioned, really encourage folks to go to imagineurbana.com and create an account, which will allow you to post ideas on the idea wall and to pin thoughts and comments and ideas on the map. So it's a nice interactive website. Really encourage everybody to do this. This is going to be this plan is a once in a lifetime plan. It's going to be the plan for the city for several decades. So really good opportunity. Moving on, some updates on our community solar development. The developer is mostly completed with land preparations for solar panel racking. They are now placing ballasts on the landfill, and they are bringing in racking equipment for staging. And so things are moving quickly out there. Look forward to getting that system completed. And of course, we are still continuing to support the developers' subscription recruitment activities.
I want to interrupt because one of the big things about that, I think we really need to help spread the word, is that if you subscribe to this and you're in there's an income qualifications level, that it's low to medium income level, correct? But you can save almost 50% of your electricity supply costs. So it's really a great deal, and you're getting local clean energy. So anyone who can qualify for a subscription really should do it as soon as possible until they are all subscribed out.
Yeah, you folks can see if they qualify on Nexamp's website. As Morgan said, it's the offering is 50% cost of electricity as compared to Ameren's price, I believe. It is open to anyone in Ameren territory. There's no sign-up fee. There's no cancellation fee, and it's portable to any account that you may move to, any address you may move to within Ameren territory. On geothermal, Geothermal Urbana-Champaign has secured 11 contracts for installation, totaling 49 tons of capacity. That is 1 ton short of our first price benchmark. So we're looking for just one more contract to get over the hill for that first price benchmark. We are going to be extending the deadline for signups. So, and probably having 1 or 2 more events. So please take a look at geothermaluc.org for that information. And hopefully someone listening will be the next contract to get us over to that first price benchmark decline. The Landscape Recycling Center is offering delivery service again, and we are booked out a month in advance. So delivery is very popular. We continue to seek grant funding opportunities to build some additional infrastructure that would allow us to engage in a food scrap composting pilot project. On property assessed clean energy, you may recall PACE is a financing mechanism that allows commercial property owners to take out a private sector loan and secure it and repay it on the property tax bill that is attached to the loan to the property rather than the person, for qualifying energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. This is a state statute which prescribes all the rules for this arrangement. The county has passed a PACE ordinance to authorize this, and they have solicited proposals from third-party administrators to administer a PACE program for the county, and staff is supporting those efforts. I don't know exactly what the target date is going to be for opening up that program, but I suspect it'll be this calendar year. The county's moving very fast on this now, and it's very exciting.
1 second, is that commercial or residential?
Only commercial PACE is authorized in the state of Illinois.
Okay, C-PACE. Thank you.
We've been doing some public engagement, spoke to a class, ESE, Earth Society Environment, I think it is, challenges in sustainability, about city sustainability work. Staff is working to complete a contract with a rain barrel and compost bin vendor. This year, like last year, we're going to do an all online, all delivery sale. There will be no in-person event for sales or for pickups. So we hope to complete that contract with the vendor soon, have a few weeks or a month of online sales, and then the vendor will have a week time period probably to make deliveries for all those products. Staff continues to work with the vendor to provide analysis for street tree data. Still working to develop that project, and I do hope that we will get some deliverables on that very soon in the next week or 2 or 3. Along those lines, I didn't put it in the staff report because it wasn't public yet, but you may have seen the mayor and the city and the park district had an Arbor Day event. At that event, the mayor announced that the city has received a very generous donation from an Urbana resident of nearly $100,000 to plant additional street trees in the city of Urbana. And the donation is specifically for planting street trees in the community development target areas, which are lower income areas of the city, and in environmental justice areas as defined by the Illinois Solar for All program. UCycle is recently, with other partners in the county, recently hosted a household hazardous waste collection event. We don't have all the data in yet for that, but really excellent to be able to get that Illinois EPA funded event back here so that we can all clean out our garages and basements. A few announcements. UCycle will be partnering with the Park District, hosting a virtual backyard composting workshop. Spring Birdathon coming up, which is an annual event with the Audubon Society. And then UCycle will also be, with partners in the county, hosting a residential electronics recycling collection event coming up. Our next meeting would be June 1st at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions? Grace.
Thank you. Lots of good stuff this month. I had a question on the PACE program. I was just trying to understand, again, I guess, trying to see if this is correct, is it kind of like a group assessment of these sites throughout the county? And what is this special assessment paid on the tax bill? So
all commercial properties in the county, and that includes within the municipalities, are eligible. But these, this is a completely voluntary program on the part of each individual commercial property owner. So if a commercial property owner has an energy efficiency or a renewable energy project, improvement project in mind for the property, they could go to the bank and get a loan. They could pay cash, or they can go through Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. Doing so will likely garner them better terms, lower interest rate, longer payback periods. So that's the incentive. That's the why. The how of it is the property owner will. There will be 3 parties that will sign a contract: the county, the office that that files and collects special assessments, the county, a lender, so a private lender, a bank, and the property owner. The private lender will provide capital to the property owner to make the improvement, the principal plus interest. The county will file the payments of that loan as a special assessment for whatever the term of years is, whatever the amount is, on the property bill. That is, the loan, the repayment of the loan gets attached to the property rather than the person. And then the property owner repays that loan every year on their tax bill. So by doing that, the loan is very secure. And so lenders are expected to provide better terms. Does that make sense?
Yes. And what if someone changes, location, or it goes out of business and becomes a new business because it's tied to the property, right?
It's tied to the property. So it would be like an encumbrance, like a lien, so to speak, on the property. And the property, then the next would-be property owner would have that lien disclosed to them, and they would take that into account when they evaluate the purchase price. And of course, the improvements would also stay with the property. Typically, people don't sell the property and take the upgraded HVA system with them.
Yeah. And so then just to clarify, the county is not responsible for this loan in any way and not paying in any way. They're just kind of facilitating it.
Correct. The county is not the lender, nor are they backing the loans in any way.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, I have one.
Mhm.
Okay, so about the solar program, and you said they had to be low income, right?
It's called low income community solar, but when you look at the income, it's determined by county. I think it's more accurate to call it low and moderate income qualified.
Okay. All right. And the steps they take, they just go on there, sign up, see if they qualify. And can you announce the website one more time, or where they go, so someone listening can have it?
If you give me a second, I'll pull it up.
Okay.
I don't know the URL off the top of my head, but I can find it.
Okay. I thank you.
No problem.
As soon as I heard about it, I got all of my family members to sign up. And I was shocked that it wasn't sold out immediately. I think it's a communication issue. Like, we really need to get the message out there. This is a great way to support sustainability and save money at the same time with a few website clicks, maybe a phone call.
So here's the developer's website, ILSFA, that stands for Illinois Solar for All, .nexamp.com/Ameren. And let's see, it's somewhere, click here to confirm the qualifying amount where you live. So you would do Champaign. Number of people in your household, let's just say 3. There you go, $50,000 income for the household of 3, and you can qualify.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Tomas?
Hi, Scott. Just a quick question around the street tree analysis. What sort of, I may have asked this before, but what sort of tools are you expecting the vendor to kind of use to kind of conduct? Are they simply looking at like urban tree canopy and in its relation to like race and community? And then if that's the case, are they like, is it geospatial data and like analysis, or is it some other means?
Yes. So all of our street trees are and our vacant tree sites are geocoded in a ArcGIS type database. And then we can bring in census to that. We can bring in CDTA and EJ. Additionally, the vendor can manipulate national satellite heat data. So we've looked at that. And there's also some ability to look at shading. And these are all not the same, and they slightly different outcomes. And so it's really tricky to figure out the best way to generate a sort of realistic look of what the experience is on the street. So we have census data, but we know that census data can be a bit tricky when you get into the particulars of Urbana. For instance, there's areas that seem to be high income, but then there's all these students who report zero income, which skew things. When we look at the Stone Creek neighborhood, there's high income, but then there's all these vacant tree sites. There's vacant tree sites because there's empty lots. And then it gets even more complicated. When we look at Stone Creek, we see lots of vacant tree sites, which you would think would correlate with high heat at the street level, but it's not hot there because the lots have no blacktop roofs. They're just turf grass. So it's very cool. So there's all these idiosyncrasies about the data, and trying to, throw out outliers and that sort of thing to produce a realistic view of what's really going on is kind of been our challenge. I thought this was going to be a lot simpler than it is.
Yeah, I was imagining it'd be a little complicated to just look at heat alone, but then again, I don't know a lot about how they do these analyses, and I was just wondering and curious and how you all were going to be sorting out the the vendors who propose to do the analysis. So
the good part about this is I think we're going to get lots of raw data as well as kind of finished results. And so if anyone who has the wherewithal to manipulate that data has an idea that, well, you could have rendered it this way, great, let's share that data, and they can go to work on it.
great, thank you.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised on this part of our agenda. For the next part, we added a few minutes for Grace to present on, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Grace, you're welcome to totally just take the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, an update on the compost project, on food waste composting pilot project, because of course we do compost food waste at the Landscape Recycling Center already. And if I could share, I just wanted to give a quick update. I'm still working on coordinating between the haulers. Dale Levitt's still interested. It's been hard just to get a hold of everyone. But one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about this at this meeting too is just to have some kind of public accountability. I know Scott had it in the staff report already, but I don't want this project to kind of die if it doesn't have to. So, to hold myself and this project accountable, just wanted to bring it into this space. So we're still working with the hauler. And then I have contacted a few commercial places that are interested. We were talking earlier about Schnucks. The manager there said he's interested and will get back to me. And then I've tried to target some other ones that are owned and operated by people of color. And you can see this list here. I need to follow up with them. That's just been on me tracking people down better. And so I was thinking about making a flyer or something a little more tangible. This is just a draft. I want to show people, probably talk with Scott or others more. I just learned how to use Canva for the first time, is where this came from. But just something that, if we could print out and leave with people, I think would be good, because I just kind of have been calling as this random person and it's hard to go in. And even when I do email people, it's just kind of harder. So I think it would be nice to just print something like that and have a few that we could take to places and, they could leave for the manager if they're busy, or pass it on to whoever. And I was thinking maybe a backside with a little more information. And one of the big things I was missing here too, besides general input, is a contact. I'm happy to do it. I've been doing it just through my personal email, but I'd rather not have that like all over town and have it just on me too, in case, other people want to participate. So going to hopefully have another conversation with Scott and others and figure that out, or make a new contact. As far as the animal waste too, I'm excited to talk with Sarah more. I think that that's definitely an option, especially if the farmers are willing to pick it up. For this, the transportation is one of the issues that we're still figuring out. The hauler wants to know the information from the retailers, and the retailers want to know the information from the hauler. And so we're kind of at this back and forth. So I think we need to all meet and just kind of like wing it. Like, I don't know, throw out a guess. We can't wait on this other piece to move this piece forward. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks.
Yeah, Grace, I don't mind if you want to put my office number on there, my name and office number on there so that folks have an office to call.
Great, thank you.
And if anybody has a line on some potential grant funding, I think from the LRC perspective, that's the next barrier.
Morgan?
Just real quick on the flyer. I used to work at printing, and you probably don't want to print a background, but you could get colored paper. Do it with the ink itself. Also, don't go with red, because if someone puts it in a window, the red will disappear. So another color. And then I was thinking, if you're talking about trying to reach out to people and not really having the time to follow through, once the high school semester is over, maybe the students who are involved in the youth climate, what are they calling it right now? Youth Climate Justice Forum, who've been doing the radio podcasts, maybe they'd be interested in helping with being some of the communicators for asking additional participants to join and guiding them to you and whoever at the city is the appropriate group.
Andy?
Wanted to say I used to work in a grocery store in the produce department, and I know how much is at least at the time was thrown away, because there's actually food that goes bad, but then there's actually food things that you trim away from the vegetables before you put them out. That's probably the largest, at least at the time I was working, the largest portion of the vegetables that get thrown away. Actually, at the time, was university did a study, or tried to do a study for commercial composting of food waste, and there wasn't any interest, but they eventually actually built an industrial sized composting facility for the city. So there probably is a lot of waste there that's being going to landfill that you don't realize.
And also about printing, that's something we have no plans or funds for. So that's another thing. If Morgan or Scott, whoever has connections to printing, I don't even have a personal printer, so we don't have that planned. So yeah, if anyone has access that we could use a nice printer just for some of these, we're not looking for like broadcasting it to, I mean, yes, it's open to everyone, but we're trying to, this pilot is small. We're looking for just a few places. So we're definitely not trying to do like a huge push for everywhere in Urbana just yet.
Yeah, Grace, if you just need to print 20 flyers or something like that, just get with me. No problem.
Thanks.
Can you put the flyer back up on the screen?
Yes.
So was it back in front? There
Yeah.
was, okay, wait.
I'm happy to send this to you too. This was just a first draft figuring out Canva.
Run a spell check. I see Holler is spelled, the AU is backwards.
Oh, yep.
And okay, and so is this, I was just wondering, so are you looking for pilot residences to participate?
Nope, just commercial places.
And is that on the front page? Because I think you have a good call to action on the back, which is contact for more details. We're looking for. Okay, cool. Thanks. Just quickly reviewing.
Yeah, we could say that on the back as well.
Okay.
That's cool.
I have a question when you get a moment.
Sure. Sorry, that's my cat trying to get in. Go ahead.
Oh, James, go ahead.
Yeah, Tiger, what's your question?
I guess it's more for Andrew, and he said he worked at the grocery store. So is there an extra cost for the grocery store to haul these off, or is that all included in their waste management services? I wonder how does that work?
Well, at the time we put them in like a compost or a compacting machine.
Mhm.
Everything goes in the compacting machine, and then they take that away. So it probably reduces the time that you fill it up. So it fills up faster if you're throwing all that away.
Okay, so is that like an extra cost to the grocery store?
At the time, I don't think so. I think it was just all part of the garbage that went to the landfill.
Okay. I'm
think-
thinking on something.
For this,
Wasn't that in, what city were you in, Andy?
London, Ontario, Canada. So at the time, it was probably 4 times the size as Urbana-Champaign.
Because we've looked at it on campus, and it would be in addition, I mean, it costs a little extra to not send it to the landfill because the landfill costs are pretty low around here. So there might be some cost associated with joining, just administering the program, but it's definitely worthwhile in the long run.
Okay.
and so for this project, I think it's not certain yet what the cost to the retailer will be, like to a grocery store or restaurant. That's what we're still figuring out between the waste hauler and what that is. Overall, it will be cheaper to take the food waste to the landscape recycling center than to take it to the landfill transfer station. It's just a matter of how we get those costs passed on to the restaurants. Ideally, it would be great because if, say, half of their landfill trash is food, their trash bill goes down by half, and they have this, so it's like a wash. But ideally, there are some cost savings in the big picture, and we haven't figured out the details about what they would be charged and if the restaurants would have any significant savings on their landfill trash.
Right. And I was thinking about what Sarah was saying earlier, like room for a young guy or a young entrepreneur with a truck. I know he could probably make money bringing it to certain farms, and that depends on how much they're paying. I'm trying to see, is it a front end cost, the back end cost? She got my brain running now, so I'm gonna have to look into these things.
Yeah.
And we could talk more about it. And because I know a couple of young men who went out and brought a truck. This might be some that could help everyone on both sides. That's what I'm thinking. It's a win. It sounds like a win-win to me.
Yeah, especially with the food waste, because if you could pick up food from a grocery store for free, which would be awesome for them, and take it somewhere to a farmer who'd be willing to pay for it, like that'd be awesome.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. All right, Grace, thank you for the update. If you want to have if you want to have an agenda item about updates for the project for future, just go ahead, let me know, and we can get that added on the agenda. It sounds like it is a coming along project. All right, unfinished business, discussion of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. I do want to just keep an eye on time for tonight, y'all. It is about 8:15. I know we try not to really go past 8:30. So I think it's fine to continue with that discussion, but what I wanted to ask is, Scott, would it be acceptable, and would anybody want to put a motion out to bump the review of the annual reports to the June meeting?
Is there any time constraint on it? Like, is next month fine, Scott? Like, does it have to be finalized by a deadline?
There's no deadline. I just try and get it done as soon as possible in the following calendar year, but there's no deadline.
Okay, and when we were putting together for the agenda, we were talking about Scott would welcome feedback on the annual reports that have been shared with us. So if folks do have time to kind of review them on their own, if you want to submit any comments, edits, or suggestions, that would be welcome. Is that right? Tell me. If not, then I take it back.
Yep, that's accurate.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then I think that we can go ahead and just bump that to the June agenda. Yes, June after. And so tonight, then we will finish up with our last agenda item for discussion of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, kind of picking up where we've left off a couple of months ago. I am going to just sort of humbly say that I don't have the documents in front of me or saved in an easy spot of the things that Grace and Morgan had last presented a couple of months ago, where we were looking at a bunch of ideas and wanting to discuss some of those together. So Grace or Morgan, do either of you have those saved anywhere conveniently? Fantastic.
PowerPoint here, and yeah, and Tiger and I talked a little bit this month. This was an addition. I can go back through some of the older stuff, but we had a little bit of thoughts prepared for this month.
Awesome. Does anybody feel that they need a recap that got us to this point?
Like this one.
I wouldn't hate a recap because I was here when we talked about, you guys meeting up and kind of organizing the information, but I sadly missed the meeting where you shared the information. So, I mean, a brief recap would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Where was it? So this was just taking our ideas, that we all kind of laid out and just organized it into 4 main categories. And this was with Morgan and I a few months ago. And we kind of identified there was 4 main themes of all of our ideas that were city operations, outreach, education, community engagement, and accessibility. And there's kind of things stemming off on this one. And then a lot of the other stuff was just some summaries and bullet point notes of those reports. Just kind of went through, there's some stuff highlighted in there. I don't know, it's a good thing to recap, but they had some interesting tables on like an assessment sheet for different cities. And yeah, we had some next steps from Morgan. And then, yeah, the rest was just a lot of things. And I really liked in those packets that they have big picture stuff. And then they also have like concrete goals and tangible stuff that they were working on. I think that was all for the background. Do you want to chime in anything else, Morgan?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, I left out from others. And I know if Tiger wants to take lead on some of the stuff we had talked about for this month, just kind of continuing to build off of those ideas. We started to put together like a bit of a table, just if we were going to kind of move from those 4 ideas to how do we put that into a goal, objective, an actual measurement. And we started with a who, if people want to get excited and think about these things, because we could also have, we can have pairs working throughout the month, but it doesn't have to be one pair, like we could each have a buddy to think about things or talk about things in between months. Yeah, go ahead, Tiger.
Okay. What we were thinking on is how to tackle these goals, right? And because there's some nice goals in there and some ideas. Basically, like Thomas has some good ideas up in there. And so I'm thinking that first, in order to execute this plan, we need to see who's already doing some of these items within the community that we could team up with. That'll be the first goal. The first goal is to do an exploratory to see what's going on already with each one of these goals. We could already team up with one organization and have them contribute and work with us as well. So that's a win-win for the city. I love a win-win. The second part would be to put this down in a report and present this to the city council and show how this can be a return on investment by executing this plan. So that's what we was kind of figuring out, like how to go about first going into areas, seeing which groups are doing what, things that like groups that are doing environment, groups that are working with community development, groups that are out here working for just, whatever we need right now that's in these goals that specifically target these right here. So, and there's one more initial stage. I think that, some of us, I don't mind going to one of the city council meetings to let them know ahead of time what we would like to do, and then actually have this plan ready to go and present it to them. So that way then they can move on these items. That's what we was discussing, in short. Did I miss anything, Grace? I can't remember all.
All right, can't find my mute button when I'm screen sharing. I think that was great summary. Yeah, and we got, I was flipping through some of the slides as you were talking to the KISS, keep it simple, sweet and simple from Tiger about the survey, do the survey, present the survey, like you're saying. You have ideas already. And then also working with the comprehensive plan, since they're doing a lot of this stuff, I think it would be cool too to, do our own or build off of it, because I imagine there might be things that we would like to know or ask that might not be on there. And there's probably lots of things that are that, hopefully we can utilize some of that information as well. And put that into this table here as under community engagement. So like the goal of listening to the community, the objective of a community survey and/or community listening sessions, possibly partnering with the comprehensive plan since they're already doing a lot of this stuff and have a budget for it and things like that. And then the measure would be, how do we measure if we did this? We actually make the survey, hold the listening sessions, meet with the representatives of the comprehensive plan. And ideally having, like a goal date or at least loose thing, at least like a season, like by fall or something. I think that having those time things really helps make it happen.
Yep. And like Grace was saying, we could probably team up. I'm already into community development and as far as reentry. So if somebody want to team up, I know Thomas, a lot of his ideas was environmental. I think, I'm not sure, who else. I know Grace would probably love that. But I'm not assigning anyone, but I'm just giving out ideas on how we can go about doing this. That's it on my part. Mm-hmm.
Morgan, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm very interested in the how do we get it to the implementation stage, as Grace and I have talked about before. So two things for me jump out. One is to create a survey. Well, what is it that we're asking? So whenever someone says, oh, we should survey people, well, for what specific, like what do we want to use with the data we might collect, or that kind of thing. I'm sorry, I'm not vocalizing my thoughts very well, but the idea of doing a survey, I'm all for that, as long as we are very purposeful in the survey. Because a lot of the student groups that I've interacted with are, they do a survey, but they don't really know what they're trying to get from it. So to create that survey, if we do it as a survey where we're asking questions, I think we need a lot more thought that goes to creating that questionnaire, I guess, that goes with what I think of as a survey. On the other side, the community listening sessions, I think could be much more, there's a lot less like predefining that I think would need to go into it. So I'm in favor of focusing on the listening sessions over a survey, but I think it's still like talking to people and getting out there and getting that information. Listening to people and getting the information. And I also really like the idea of it being as collaboration with the phase planning effort that's underway, because that is truly a huge amount of administrative work. So I am excited about that idea. That's one of my thoughts. The other thought is, Tiger, you were talking about presenting this to the council and trying to get their agreement that, support of our plan. And I think that we need a little more specificity on what we're actually asking them to approve. So if we're just saying we want you to know we're going to reach out, then there's not much for them to approve. There's not really much of an ask. I'd like it to be that we either really know, like maybe we don't specifically go to them until we have a little bit of the feedback and input collected.
Right. Exactly.
A little later.
Right. No, you're right. That's exactly where I was going with it. So yeah, but once we're ready and we got to understand what we're asking for. You're right. And, designing those questions and surveys, you always start with the end in mind. What do you want to know from this group? What group is doing? I don't know, what are they exactly doing? So we got to get those questions together. That's some things that Grace and I was talking about. If we meet again, we need to start hashing out each one of these goals and get the ask right, and then now you're ready to engage with the public. And then once we're ready there, then it's time to engage with the council and show that this could be very beneficial both to the city, individuals within the city save money here. And that's the whole purpose of the whole SAC commission, is to show that, to become more efficient and effective.
I really like the idea of getting engaged in the comprehensive plan discussions sooner than later.
Okay.
As a first step where some folks talk with, Andrea Rudy is kind of running that rollout, or at least she was last time we talked. I think she still is. And, talk to her about, hey, we'd like to do this. We're wanting to put together some questions and work with you to get, to arrange some of these listening sessions and have these conversations include this aspect. It's like, we might be able to actually have that conversation with her in the next couple of weeks, and then spend some time defining what that means, what it looks like, and then go back to her about how to actually integrate with what they're doing.
Yeah, because we definitely want to put it on the
iterations.
radar. You're right.
Yeah. I think this is all really good. One last thought is the iterations tend to be the way to get these sort of significant changes to really happen. You've got to have some ideas, and then some decision makers, and then some ideas, and then some staff, and then some idea. It was this multi-step process is great.
Okay, and I'll be glad to, me and you and I, Morgan, if you like, we could start the meetings and take them one by one. Just tackle each one by one.
I want to be invited to the meetings, but I don't want to help coordinate them because I am overbooked and I don't get the stuff I'm supposed to get done.
Yeah, trust me.
I want to attend.
I understand.
I want to make sure that everybody on this call gets a chance to be part of this conversation. And I definitely have some ideas that I really want to put out there, especially around community engagement, but I want to check with others first before I jump in. All right. And this is a little bit for Morgan and Scott too, because I was in a meeting today along with others where I am on a resilience working group with the University of Illinois, whose objective is to take leadership in addressing the most pressing sustainability challenges in our local communities through collaboration with local governments and related community groups by forming an advisory panel for coordinating efforts across jurisdictional boundaries. Okay, that last part is maybe not the most exciting, but the first part and what came out of the meeting today was listening sessions with organizations and stakeholders around sustainability and resiliency. While we're talking about how to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion in our sustainability planning, I feel I could see there being a real benefit to having these teams working together and being a partner on the community engagement piece that the aim is to happen this summer.
Stacy, those planned discussions and listening sessions, conversations are specifically about environmental justice, not.
So how is that totally different than what this is?
It's
Please
not.
tell me.
It is totally not different. I'm just saying it's even more aligned than what you're saying
Oh,
about environmental. There's the campus has signed a commitment to build resilience. We have this team that is what Stacy is referring to, that's called our Resilience Working Advisory Team, our Illinois Climate Action Team. And it is Champaign-Urbana, Savoy, and the U of I faculty, students, and staff. And this is one of the goals, is to help the whole region, the local area, I should say, develop an environmental justice plan. So there have been some conversations on campus, and they haven't actually reached off campus officially yet, but we were talking today about what those groups are. Yeah. I didn't mean to undermine what you were saying.
I thought you were like, no, they're not related at all. No, they are completely related. And what I don't want to take away that like there should be an Urbana initiative, and I don't want to like take it away from the interest and the work for the SAC to engage in and say, no, it's already happening on campus. See, we don't have to do it like that. Throw away that thought. I really want to figure out how can we build, because these conversations are happening in different places in the community. How do we bring them together? And that's like really, really quite exciting to me. So very cool, especially on community engagement. And I would love to get people on this call involved in that. And since it's not like an SAC only thing, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But figuring out the only 3 of us at one time in one place kind of thing is complicated sometimes.
Well, we could start with a conversation with a couple people from SAC to talk with the staff at IC or on campus who are trying to coordinate those conversations. Meredith and whoever from the SAC is going to be actively pursuing this over the next month.
And another aspect to this, especially related to Urbana, for me, an idea is really coming up that I would be pleased to present to the city council if this was something that we wanted to do. But the idea of having a community ambassadors type program where we're thinking about stuff here in the SAC. Are there others in the community that get excited and want to talk? Could we create, I guess it's a resource with maybe funding behind it? I don't know, but maybe I need to reach out to Lamont Peppers, but could we have a community ambassadors program where some of this outreach is like peer-to-peer outreach instead of just necessarily top down from kind of a city official reaching down with what they're doing, but instead create a little more horizontalism and a peer-to-peer outreach through a community ambassador program. Jess, I see you're like lighting up on so many things.
Well, first of all, I want to say I am so sorry that I was unmuted. I Zoom for a living, and I don't know how long I was unmuted, but I'm dying a little bit about that. So feel free to chime in and let me know if that ever happens in the future. But typically, I won't have my newborn with me. It's just a long story about how that's even happening. Second of all, I think that I'm going to be having like more time to kind of dedicate to helping with either something like this. I'm loving Grace's food waste thing. I love what was her name, Sarah, was talking about doing that other food waste initiative, which I think is awesome. But I would be so interested in collabing or working through, one or any of these goals that you guys have put together. And I think it's awesome. So that's pretty much what I have to say. And I definitely agree with you, Stacy. I think that would be a really cool connection to make with U of I as well. So again, I apologize from the bottom of my soul. Okay.
Oh my gosh, little ones totally welcome. I mean, we all have lives and things and children that I don't have children, but people have children that they're taking care of. Interruptions happen. It's all good.
I mean,
especially in this age of
pretty
Zoom.
amateur, but yeah.
Even
Yeah,
hear,
That
I
one's
just gotta say, Jess, I didn't even hear, like, there was a noise that could have been a cat meowing. I mean, that was it once. So
okay. Okay.
it was not a disruption.
I wasn't sure how long I was unmuted, so I just died a little, but you guys are bringing me back. So thanks, y'all.
No problem at all. So I was hearing a lot of this conversation focusing in on the community engagement part. And for me, it sounds like there's kind of two like to-dos for the next month that would be reaching out to the comp plan planners, Andrea, Rudy, and the other person I'm blanking on their name. And second, reaching out to the UIUC people working on the environmental justice plan, if you feel that's appropriate time in their process to start thinking about it. So I didn't know if we had people to volunteer for those things. I don't know if Scott was already planning on having Andrea and them at a SAC meeting sometime soon.
We don't have them booked at this point. They're focusing on their public engagement in the community, but certainly members are welcome to go to those events and engage with them.
Yeah, I think I don't know, Maureen, let me know if this was not what you were saying, but that we could even partner with them as in tag in, a few extra questions about sustainability if there's something that we'd like to add, and kind of partner with their efforts if that's a possibility on their end. Is that what you were saying or no?
That is what I was saying. I looked, I didn't get to look at it in detail yet, but one of the files attached to the packet this month included sort of a summary of what their engagement has been so far. And it wouldn't be that everything they're doing has an opportunity to add a couple things on our topic, but some of them would, right? And then there's others where maybe there's a tabling event at Market at the Square or neighborhood night where if they're going to have a table, maybe they'd let one of us or someone in this effort join them and be there to talk with people about environmental justice. But I think that if we could have, and I'm basically asking for one of the commissioners to, other than me, to volunteer. And Grace, you've been doing a lot, and I don't know if you can keep it up, but you and someone or Tiger and someone to have to reach out and actually have a call with Andrea, and it's Lily Wilcock is the other person at the city, to talk about what our intentions are here and just ask how we might be able to integrate with what they're doing. And is there some opportunity from their perspective and what that opportunity is? So it's really just a phone call over this month, and then maybe some, if they could give you some ideas, then maybe actually doing some things immediately.
I'd be happy to do that. I have had that call with them already, just a phone call with them as planning, more as other roles, but mentioning SAC, we didn't get into any specifics about it. And also, like you were saying too, it sounds like we would need to do some of the work on our end of what we want to ask. So I think that's the two sides there.
And maybe it's maybe it's the conversation with the U of I contact people first, because there's some coordination that they're planning to do as far as reaching out to folks. And then when you're talking to Andrea and Lily, you could say, here's some of the things we're as a group looking at doing. Can some of these just correspond? Can we capture some of these folks because you're going to be meeting with them already? Stuff like that. So the contact person, if you email me, I can connect you very easily, or Scott and Stacy can too, to the folks who are leading the U of I conversation about the environmental justice plan, which is through the Institute for Sustainability, Energy and Environment. And the point person is Meredith Moore. she has a student who's going to be working on it this summer.
Yeah, I would volunteer to reach out to people about the comp plan and not the other one.
I could volunteer to reach out to the other one if I have just the names of the people one more time.
We'll do an introduction, Jess. I have 3 to 4 meetings with Meredith every day, not every week, every day. So
Okay.
Cool, thank you, Jess. I'll do that. And how about then our other piece about what we want to know? Does any person or team want to tackle that, or we can each kind of think about it in the next month? But it would be cool if, I don't know, a buddy system wanted to just think about what we want to know or what we want to ask, I guess.
Grace, is that, I know that you have already done a lot. Is that something that we could kind of collab on? And then are the questions going to be basically pretty similar directions? I don't know, just a thought. Although I know you've already done a lot. I would also collab with someone else on that. I don't feel like, since I missed a lot of that presentation and everything, I just don't want to, I want to make sure I am with someone that, really knows what we're going for there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's still up to deciding. And Tiger, I'm not volunteering you because you already volunteered. You're on the thing from volunteering last week. Are you still interested in thinking about that? And you and Jess could work on thinking about it. And, we can talk to other people too. Like Jess and I and Tiger and I can talk and just not tell me what you two talked about. And that's okay.
Yeah, count me in, man. Let's get it done. I'm with it. Yep.
Cool. Anything else? Got some good to-dos for the month, at least.
All right, that sounds like some really good action items for the next meeting. So we'll go ahead. We'll continue this conversation at the next meeting as well. Josh, when we get you in contact with Meredith Moore on the Resilience Committee, I think that the pace of things moving is a little bit different because the university is aiming to have something done by the summer, and our pace is a little bit of like moving things along 1 month, 4 weeks at a time. So there's a little bit of matchup on timing and pacing. So I see absolutely no reason why some of these items can't be being explored and the ball being moved forward kind of in the background in between meetings with us sort of reporting back. But awesome ideas, great feedback and interaction this evening. And I will just open the floor to see if anybody has any final comments. And then I have an announcement. Morgan?
I have 2 comments. I really appreciate the work Grace has put into this environmental justice effort, the JEDI discussions. You've done a lot of gathering information for us a few months ago before you and I talked. And then when we were talking, you really took the lead on getting the presentation together. And you're still in it, and I really appreciate that. And what others have contributed, of course, is important. The other gratitude comment is I have a similar job to what Scott's job is, and I am constantly astounded by what he accomplishes. And I am so pleased to get to work with you, Scott. So I just wanted to say thank you. This has been, even today, all the stuff that you shared in the staff report was like just amazing. I mean, you've got all these things going on, and it's making really transformative change in our community. So thank you. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you for the.
Thank you. Thank you for all the thanks.
Yeah. All right. I got one announcement, which is just to promote a community event that is happening on May the 8th. I feel comfortable doing this because it is on the city's website on the homepage. It is #GoodTroubleCU. There is going to be a votercade and a celebration village for voting rights, which are important to everybody in our community, starting on Saturday next weekend. This weekend, oh my gosh, it's like 4 days away. Really to shed light and do some education around the National John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, some federal legislation that works to restore some 1965 voting rights legislation that we have out there. So the votercade, the city of Urbana is a partner on this, and it starts at the Country Fair Shopping Center at 1 to 3. People are going to get together and decorate their vehicles. There's going to be 2 different planned routes through Champaign and Urbana. So please join if you can. It's going to end up with a celebration, speakers and music at the at Lincoln Square in the parking lot there. It is in the afternoon. It's after the farmers market closes up. And like that, we are going to have the Hip Hop Express bus there playing some music. We have some fantastic speakers, and we're really just looking forward to being part of this event. This is a national day of action that is happening in over 100 cities around the United States at the same time. So there's been some really huge organizing going into this. So if you're interested and you can make it, check it out on urbanaillinois.us/votercade. You can contact me or James for more info. All right, everybody, with no further business before the commission this evening, I do call this meeting adjourned, and may the 4th be with you.